Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Sunday evening frequency meditation. And tonight we're going to go and look into this topic on death. I know we've done other transmissions on this before, but of course, death is such a layered subject that tonight we're going to talk about beyond fairness and fate. So I know last week that rippled through the news is like when a sudden death ripples like this through the collective, everything gets shaken up. So this week it was Charlie Kirk. Years ago it was Princess Diana, and of course there's been so many throughout time. But these events really bring the same disturbance. If life can be taken so quickly from someone who seemed untouchable, then what does that mean for me, my mortality? And that's what happens. Suddenly mortality is no longer an abstract idea, but it's in fact a mirror. So the question underneath is not about politics or celebrity. It's about death itself, what it means. Why does it unsettle us? And why the stories around it rarely bring relief. So let's just start by taking a breath in right now, really coming into our center. From the Spacetime Method perspective, the problem is not death. The problem is the rule set we have in place on it. We assume that good people should live long, bad people should meet their end early, and the universe should hand out justice like a court of law. And when that story collapses, fear rushes in. But death does not follow rules of fairness. It follows mechanics. Just as breath follows rhythm, the tide follows the moon, coherence follows orientation, and death also follows precise frequency structures in place. Just take another breath in right now, and notice your spine, your whole spine, all 33 vertebrae, holding you up right now, transmitting, receiving. So this session is not about superstition or speculation. It's not about ghosts, punishment, destiny. It's really what we're going to bring in tonight in this transmission is about the clear mechanics of life and death as one continuum. And together we'll step out of the story of fairness and enter the literacy of frequency. And we'll discover through this awareness that will come to you, for you, that death is neither random nor tragic. It's simply a repositioning, a return to coherence within the pure blueprint. And with that orientation in place, let's just take another deep breath in. And if your eyes are closed, open your eyes and just look at an object in front of you. Notice that object. Notice where that object is. And then observe where you are. You in your body is a completely different environment. Just settling yourself here in your body right now. And settle here as if this is the first moment you have ever arrived. Presence doesn't need preparation. Presence is immediate. It's a choice that repositions you into coherence. So breathe into that awareness that your body is already in the room. Your breath is already moving. Your field is already alive. And death begins here. Because death is simply, as mentioned, another repositioning of awareness. So we begin with the breath. Each inhale draws awareness inward, gathering you at the center of our sphere, that place in the middle of our brain. And then each exhale extends coherence outwards into our frequency field, that arm's length around us, above us, below us, in front of us, behind us, side to side. So the same mechanics that carry you in life also carry you beyond death. There's no separate system. There's, if you like what I see, there's only one frequency structure, one pure blueprint, guiding through all different thresholds. So when the collective witnesses a public death, again, whether it's Princess Diana, Charlie Kirk, or anyone whose passing arrives suddenly, the field trembles. It's not only about them, it's about us. What collapses is the hidden assumption that life is orderly through fairness. That good things are for the good and misfortune only belongs to the bad. When death interrupts that narrative, the collective is exposed to a deeper mechanic. Life and death do not follow morality. They follow coherence. So breathe again. Inhale into the center of your sphere. Exhale through the body, the spine, and into the earth. Really feel that movement returning upwards now through the spine back to the center. For those of you who are new, this is the movement that brings you into that coherence. It's our core sphere. We always started at our center of our sphere, the center of our brain. And then we move down through the spine into the core of the earth, where these frequencies that we have access to, it's in the same density as us, these pure frequencies, which bring us into alignment. And then we reverse up, coming back up through the spine, our whole body, filling our whole body with these frequencies, and then back to our center sphere. That movement alone will guarantee you to be in the most precise position in space and time and in alignment with your timeless self than any other modality, doctrine, equation, mantra, prayer beads, whatever you mention. It's an amazing technology. By practicing it, you'll experience it. Let's just pause here, letting that movement really settle you, shifting you. How you know that you have been shifted into a better place is that it's just less noisy inside, simpler, lighter. That's the entryway. And from here, as we start to receive, we transmit with clarity. We're in more precise position to receive without all the distortions of the mass consciousness. So we're going beyond surface level definitions on death, morality. We're going to become aware that when these things that happen, such as a passing arriving suddenly. The mind, it protests, but it's unfair, but it's tragic, but it's too soon. These are human categories created to stabilize the nervous system against uncertainty. But from the Spacetime Method perspective, what I see, death does not arrive early or late. It arrives in coherence with frequency positioning. Every transition is timed to recalibrate both the individual essence and the collective field. So nothing is wasted, nothing is random, nothing is delayed. The science glimpses this truth through resonance. Bohm spoke of the implicate order, the whole present in every part. Tesla reminded us that frequency holds the secret of reality. And then it was Rupert Sheldrake, who showed us that fields of memory that outlast form. They all point to the same conclusion. The system operates on mechanics much deeper than human judgment. There's an order. So as we dissolve these illusions of fairness, we bring in the awareness, the anchoring into the mechanics of the operating system. Taking another breath in right now. Let's consider your own life. Just noticing yourself in your body, your spine, you in your spine in your body. It's the only place you are right now. It's real, here in your body. So you carry within you both the echoes of the past and the pure essence of the blueprint. And what unsettles you about death is often the echo, the story, the unresolved pattern, the inherited fear. The essence, by contrast, remains steady. Essence is never touched by accident, violence, or injustice. Essence always repositions cleanly. So to live with literacy is to really distinguish echo from essence within your own field. People who have reported being in major car accidents or life-threatening situations, they report they leave their body. They're observing what's happening to them and in slow motion, but there's no emotional stress. They're indifferent. The echo is the story happening, the emotions, the mind, the injustice, The essence is that of you leaving that density and being in essence the infinite self, which is untouchable. So take a breath in again, and as you do, notice the echo of tension, the learned story of how life should be. And as you exhale, allow that echo to move downwards, clearly into the earth's frequencies. That's what these frequencies do. They're constantly filtering. And then that upward return along the spine, it only carries the essence, clear, coherent, alive. So you're training yourself here to read death in the same way you read breath, by mechanics, not by morality. So when a figure dies in public, people project their own fears of mortality. The deeper disturbance is not about the one who crossed. It's about the collective realizing, if this can happen to them, it can happen to me. That recognition is not punishment, it is awakening. So for those who felt that, had some sort of awareness about it, it's all good news. You're awakening. You're seeing outside of the distortion. That awakening shakes the illusion. It really also shakes that illusion that safety comes from status or wealth or virtue, which is what our society has built itself on. And all of this work is incredibly disruptive. It's nothing new. It's ancient teachings. That disruption, it reminds us that coherence, not circumstance, is the only true anchor. And as we look around the world today, we see the people who do have this status, wealth, or virtue, which is clinging to safety. I think we can all agree that those leaders in whatever sector, they're anything but coherent. And it's a scary realization when one who has everything still is not anchored. And they get a glimpse of how far from coherence they are with their timeless self. Take a breath in. Just breathe into this. But death is never the opposite of life. Death is the opposite of birth. Life spans both. Life is a field in which birth and death are simply coordinates. When you grasp this, the fear softens. Death is not an end. It's a repositioning within the larger field of life. As you position yourself over time, even with more precision and centered in your sphere, it's infinite, by the way. We never get centered. Couldn't exist in density. We need some filters. But as you get closer over time, that awareness comes to you on what death really is. And in fact, you can even go further, that death is in fact a promotion. So let's just settle here while we bring in that awareness, that to give you a different definition on death. And when these things happen in the world around us, that doesn't seem to make sense or is just. That there, in fact, is a higher order. It's just that most of us can't see it because they're not coherent enough to have access to those rule sets. Taking a breath in, now just bring attention to your jaw. The jaw signals coherence. When it's loose, truth is present, and when it's tight, distortions are near. So read your jaw as you consider death, and this is a good practice to go into other subjects if you like with. Just notice your jaw. If it tightens, it's because of a story. If it softens, it's because you're aligned with the mechanics. This small test shows how even in daily living, death can be approached without fear. The body knows. The blueprint confirms. So from here, brought it into the spine. The spine conducts the downward release and upward return in the movement. The channel of the movement. And every death follows this same pathway. Downward exit into earth, upward return into the sphere, outward expansion through the field. The system's precise, nothing's ever lost. Just notice how the mind always wants to personalize death. He should have lived longer. She deserved better. I do not want to go yet. These are echoes of rule sets built on fairness and fate. They are useful in stabilizing society, but they do not describe the mechanics. Death is the recalibration of your position. Your relief comes when you stop framing it as a loss or justice and see it as an orientation. So let's bring this in as an experiential for you. Close your eyes for a moment and think back to yourself as a child. See that version of you, maybe at 5 years old, maybe at 10. Just notice how real they feel in memory. Go in as much detail as possible. What did you look like? How did you see the world? How did you talk, stand, play? Dynamics with your family, right? Go back into that little girl or little boy. Bring it alive. Just notice that how real they feel in memory. And yet that version is already gone. That child has died. The body, the mind, the world they lived in, finished. What remains is only essence carried forward into now. And that's why people who have had some trauma, when they revisit it, or it revisits it without soliciting it. It's not the essence, it's the echo. And the echo is only transient. So let's shift again. Look at yourself from last year. Again, go in much detail. Maybe there's a favorable moment last year, a Christmas, a wedding, a funeral, whatever. Just go back to that point that you can bring to mind the memory of how you were last year, how you talked, how you thought, the challenges you had, the person you were. Especially the people who've been doing this work. Come back today. The person back then is already gone also. Even the ones you were last month. And again, especially the people who are doing this work, we're shifting daily. But that last version of you, whether it was a minute ago, a year ago, decades ago, they're finished. Again, it's that version has already died. What continues is the essence, not the echo. So notice how the mind wants to hold on to keep those versions alive. This is a survival pattern, the illusion. That clinging equals safety. But what happens when you release them? Inhale, take a breath in, and as you exhale, let the versions drop downwards into the earth. Watch the spine conduct the release. And then feel the upward return carry only coherence, only essence into the center of your sphere. And this is the deeper literacy. Every small release, every micro death is in fact training. You're practicing death not as a loss, but as orientation. You're rehearsing the great transition by letting go of what no longer serves you now. The system, it doesn't decay through release. It decays through clinging. Release is how you walk into your next version with clarity. How people are aging in the mass consciousness, that's decay. That's not release. That's not the universal system in efficiency. It's the clinging onto the youth, clinging onto the self. All it does is create decay. All the health issues. We're not supposed to age that way. If you go to the jungle, I spent a lot of time with the tribes in the jungle, and at 80, they have black hair, there's no wrinkles, they get up at 6 a.m., full of energy, clarity, vitality. Taking a breath in. So every time you do the movement, and bring to mind a death of the self. And you bring it into then the birth. You're training your system. You're getting in coherence with the universal system of creation itself, the movement of creation. And so notice this final layer. Even with a certainty that one day you'll leave density, you can still live here with coherence. You're not in neurosis about it every day. This proves the system's already stabilizing you. The blueprint is already holding you steady beneath fear. When you start to see death through these lenses, you no longer fear the end. You see the truth of it. That death, which absolutely every organism participates in, nothing escapes it or would want to escape it. And death is the most natural repositioning into coherence. Already rehearsed at every breath, every release, every letting go. As we stabilize in our blueprint, stabilized in the center of our sphere. And just bringing it all here now as you focus on the center of your spine or your sphere. Notice the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain, coming back center. That interaction between the two creates this movement going down the spine holding these codes, coherence, of alignment. We start using the mind much less, and we start using the body brain, the brain in the spine. We drop into the earth core, stabilizing frequencies, bringing them back up right through our spine, back to the center of our sphere, our whole body fused with it. Then from here, expanding out into our frequency field, all these induction frequencies, arm's length around us, above us, below us, in front of us, behind us. Stay here in your own time, in your field. What's there? What has left your field? And what have you now bringing in to serve you better, to create? It all starts here in your field. The consequence, the reflection is you in physical form. So I just recommend to stay here for a while, you, your timeless self in your field, observing what's there. And if something comes up that no longer is coherent with you, do what you're supposed to do. Be that powerful being that you are. And disconnect from it. And if there's awareness of something that needs to come into your field, so you can be that very best person possible and have the most amazing, best life possible, bring that into your field. Others have done it before you, so why not you? And with that, I'll see you all next week.